So after making a video about both the frontman and Thanos, I thought it would be time to make a video about the remaining villains of Squid Game, because let's be honest, there are quite a few bad boys still out there. We got the Meathead Deok-Su, the smoothboy recruiter, and Mr. Poopypants himself. So in this video, we are going to find out how long these villains would be in jail for if they were actually caught for their crimes. And believe me, some of these are going to get pretty absurd. Let's start with the recruiter. The recruiter, also known as the salesman, has a habit of bumping into people just at the right time. Seems quite innocent, right? Well, he then offers the people he meets to play a little game with him and offers them good money. But sadly, the other players have no idea he is literally the GOAT at the game.
나 오늘 상태 많이 안 좋다. 정말 내가 먼저 친다. 돈이 없으세요?
He basically scammed the players with his skill, but he doesn't even want their money. He introduces a brilliant new payment method. Your body!
뭐무래?
10만 원 까드립니다.
한 판 더 해.
He says they have signed a paper that states this is legal, but with these bad intentions and the background information we as viewers have, we are pretty certain this is predatory, and thus these slaps would be able to be charged as assault in court. And we have no idea how many slaps each contestant has received. We do not know how many Squid Games this guy has been the recruiter, but as we have 2 seasons, he would be charged for 455 and 454 assault charges. As in the first season, he didn't assault the old fart, and in the second season, he didn't have to slap Gi-hun and player 1. For every person slapped, he could receive a year in jail, which starts him off pretty nicely with 909 years behind the bars. But it's the second season where he truly shines. He takes it way further. He knows the detective and his team are onto him, so he manages to catch 2 of them. They wake up blindfolded in front of each other, and the recruiter forces them to play Russian roulette.
한 분은 물론 벌칙이 있습니다. 러시안 룰렛이라고. 총알 하나를 넣고 죽을 확률이 6분의 1.
And what happens next is kind of gruesome.
하나.
This is of course a murder and gets him life in prison. And on top of that, forcing them to play these diabolical games is another 10 years. And then we have his final crime. Gi-hun comes home to find the recruiter in his house. This would be trespassing and gives him another year. The recruiter goes fully loco mode and wants to join in on the fun this time and plays Russian roulette against Gi-hun, but that is also where his journey ends.
우리 아빠가 막 살려 딱 한 방울 쐈어요. 이마 일이 내 적성에 잘 맞는구나. 죽일 수 있어.
If the salesman were still alive for as far as we know, he would go to jail for 1 lifetime and 919 years. But the salesman isn't the only baddie in the show. Next up, we have the meathead with the dragon tattoo. When he wakes up with the rest of the contestants, he immediately sets himself apart by assaulting contestant 67. It seems they both come from a background of crime and know each other already. Anyway, he starts off with a nice year in jail. In a flashback, we get some more information on what Deok-Su did in the past. He seems to have done some shady business with a casino involved, and when confronted and told the casino guys want to finish him, he makes sure the messenger gets it first.
네가 빌린 돈 대신에
넌 좆됐어 이 병신.
That would be life in prison for him too. The biggest crime of them all, however, is when everyone gets to finally eat. There is 1 egg for every player present, but Deok-Su and his newfound gang decide they will skip line and get 2 eggs. When the final player finds out his egg is missing, he goes to Deok-Su and tells him he wants his egg, but our dragon-tattooed macho likes his eggs and decides to beat the man to death.
에이 씨발 재수없게 이씨.
That's another lifetime in jail, and he needs to pay that egg. A single egg costs around 401, which would translate to around 27 cents. It's not much, but definitely noteworthy. Oh, and then the night after he decides to mass murder people, and for that, he can basically be put on death row. It's a pretty nasty scene in a loft of flashing lights, so let's just go straight to the end for him. He kinda kills people with tug of war and outplays his fake friend in the marbles game. But he really has his final shine in the glass bridge game, where he jumps once and then decides he's not going anymore. However, that does lead to his death as his girlfriend is done with it.
땡큐지.
It seems it is a trend that all our criminals die, but in hell this guy can go to jail for 2 more lifetimes, can fulfill his death sentence for the mass murder, and he needs to pay for that egg for 27 cents. Our next criminal is none other than Sang-woo. Sang-woo may look like a nice guy at first, but he is one of those non-violent fraud players. Basically, he presented his firm to a lot of investors and took their billions and decided to gamble on meme coins with it. Now he is in massive debt, and that's that. He needs to compensate this and needs to pay the 6 billion won in debt, and on top of that, he can go to jail for investment fraud, which is a nice 5 years. Other than that, he is basically a smartass who outplayed every game. However, one of the games was quite emotional. Sang-woo outsmarted Ali, and that resulted in his death.
가지고 다니기 안전하게 해줄게.
278번 탈락.
규칙은 어떤 게임을 하든 폭력을 쓰지 않고
This, however, is entirely legal as the game forced one of them to die, not Sang-woo. But Sang-woo did go absolutely demon mode in the next game, though. On the glass bridge, he pushed a man to his death. This one is an actual murder. And right afterwards, he also decided to stab player 67 to get rid of the competition. That makes 2 lifetimes in jail. Although you could still make the argument it was all because of the game, but the intention was there. Sang-woo couldn't bear his own actions though, and even unalived himself, which could be seen as a crime, as he gets rid of the other charges without punishment. Sang-woo would go to jail for a whopping 2 lifetimes, 5 years, and has to pay the 6 billion won. And last but not least, the old fart himself, player 1 of the first season. So this guy basically organized every single Squid Game so far. As he is the most evil villain in Squid Game, we have to do a lot of calculating, but I will keep it as simple as possible. He had an entire organization under him, from the guards to the recruiter to a whole of other stuff. That means he is committing organized crime, which gets you 99 years in jail. Then he of course hired to recruiter. Let's say the methods of the recruiter are his own, so all the slapping is on the sales. But he does give a lot of information on who to target, which means some serious stalking has been done. For a single case of stalking, you can get a sentence of up to 5 years and $250,000. However, there have been Squid Games all the way since 1988, which means there have been 33 Squid Games, with each 456 contestants. That would be 15,048 victims stalked. Like, damn, bro. Although -1 because he joined in himself once. That would result in a staggering 75,240 years in jail and a fine of 3.7 billion. That is billion, with a B. But we of course know, out of every Squid Game comes only one winner, which means he would basically get a death sentence. But if you put it in life sentences, that would be 15,014. That makes the front man look like an amateur, which he is, because this old fart has some years on him. Then there is also the black market hiring of all the guards for all 33 Squid Games. Weaponry for everyone involved, but I can't be asked. This guy is a goner. Player 1 would go to jail for well over 75,000 years, over 15,000 lifetimes, and has to pay damages of up to $3.7 billion. American dollars, that is, not Jamaican dollars. Well, if you want to see more of this, hit that subscribe button, and if you want this guy to go to jail, click on the video on your screen right now.